Okay, well, today's live stream, we're going to cover a little story about a guy who found Magnum condoms. That's right, big old Magnum condoms in his girlfriend's car. His girlfriend he'd been seeing of a year and a half. So, all I have to say about that to start the stream off is.
Whoa, whoops. Oh, I dropped my monster condom that I use for my Magnum dong.
I'm out of here.
All right. That's it. Stream's over. I just wanted to be able to use that joke. So I found the story, and anytime I can show that clip, it's a good day, right? So we're going to dive into this little story because, guys run into situations, things happen in relationships, and you guys want, how do I process these problems? How do I answer these questions? What do I do next? Right? Like these weird scenarios happen and guys are unsure what to do about it. And so I'll get right into the story, I think. So these guys, this couple's pretty young, 22, 21. So 22-year-old male. He says, I found 2 out of 3 Magnum condoms in my girlfriend's car. Could this be a sign of cheating? And of all the condoms, they had to be the Magnum dong condoms. Man, I tell you, okay, What one more time for the uninitiated.
Whoa, whoops. Oh, I dropped my monster condom that I use for my Magnum dong.
All right.
I'm out of here.
All right. Poor guy, right? Poor guy. So yeah. So yep, that's the story. Could this be a sign of cheating? Okay, let's read what he has to say. It's pretty short, but there's a lot here we can actually get into. So, as the title says, today he writes, as the title says, I was warming up my girlfriend's car while she slept to make sure that her engine would be okay throughout the night. While doing so, I found 2 sealed Magnum condoms in her middle compartment. Okay. So, this is already going to create an inner game issue for this guy. and we know because of how he's framing it. So, as a coach, and also you guys too, as your persuasion skills go up, what part of persuasion is, and part of game and part of seduction, right, is being able to get a good behavioral analysis. You can read between the lines based on what people are saying and what they're not saying, the word choices that they're using, their behaviors, their body language, like all tonality, all those things add up to, you'll have more awareness of the story someone's telling. You'll have more awareness of what's really going on, because what people say in the story that they tell is really just on the surface. And you want awareness of all the things happening behind that. And so whether you are a intelligence operator for, the governments like CIA or, DIA or special missions or whatever, and you're like, wanting to, collect intelligence, human intelligence collection, interrogator for law enforcement, same thing. Or whether you're in the dating market and you want awareness of the women you're dating, these skills of behavioral analysis come in handy. Maybe you're just in sales, maybe you own a business, whatever it is. These are people skills that are valuable. Okay. And so that's, this is what you have to look into. So what he says in the first paragraph. So he goes to warm his girlfriend's car up to make sure the engine would be okay throughout the night. So that tells me that they're living together, or they stay together a lot, right? So they're staying over each other's house. They're living together. So this is not someone he just started dating. This is someone that, maybe they just started dating, but chances are there's supposed to be an exclusive relationship here. There's no ambiguity, right? They've moved forward to a step of staying at each other's houses or wherever each other lives or apartment or whatever, possibly cohabitation, right? So that's one piece of information we can notice. The other piece of information is I've gotten one paragraph in and plus the title, and he uses the word Magnum Condoms, right? Couple times. Now, here's the thing. If you use Magnum Condoms yourself, or if you, what I actually, one of the larger branded condoms, I recommend non-latex skins large. That's my recommendation. Just saying. So if you use those larger condoms or you fit into Magnums, you're just gonna say condoms. You know what I mean? You're not going to necessarily feel the need to specify the brand in the site. You know what I mean? They're not going to say, no one's going to tell this story and say, and I found 2 Trojan condoms, right? Or some other brand. I found 2 Durex condoms. Like, that's not how the story is going to be told. It's just, I found 2 condoms. If you wear Magnums or wear, again, my recommendation, just a little recommendation is the non-latex skins large. I like better than the Magnums, or I think there's a non-large if you need the non-large ones, and that's okay too. Okay, then there's my condom recommendation for you. But yeah, you're not going to feel the need to specify the type of condom that you found that is not your condoms because you haven't been using condoms on your girl, right? If it's a regular brand, if it's normal. So, or if you use the larger ones, you're not going to specify that she has the larger ones in her center console of her car. So, like, this tells me that this dude is feeling insecure about this, and that's fine. That's normal reaction. He's maybe an average size or regular. He's a regular penis, and he's a bit concerned she's banging a larger penis, right? Which is always a point of insecurity for guys. And I've done videos covering that as well. And I've had a lot of guys come to me in consults because of, that sort of thing, right? They're just feeling not exactly secure about their size, right? And the mythology that being a girl's best requires a particular size. It's not true. But there's that idea. And so this person is definitely yeah, go look it up. Magnum is like a large or extra large condom. It's one of the bigger ones. It's noted as being the large size condoms, right? So you can just, I'll let you look that up on your own. So at any rate, yeah, so he so back to what we're saying. So if he's using that language, he feels an insecurity here. All right, so we know that already. Then he writes, we have never used, so we found the condoms in the middle compartment. We have never used condoms throughout the entire year and a half of us dating, nor have we talked about using them. So I guess they started off and are still raw dogging it. And they've been seeing each other for an entire year and a half. All right. Reason why I'm going to interrupt my thought here. Reason why I recommend non-latex is because some women have a bad reaction to latex. And so, and I find the Skins brand to be more comfortable just a little bit. It's more comfortable than some of the other brands. And so, but that's just personal preference. But the non-latex, because some people are allergic to latex, or have a bad skin reaction to it. So you mitigate that with latex. Always use lube too, especially if you're using condoms. You always use that. That was my recommendation earlier. So good. We're on board with, at the very least, what we got accomplished today is what brand of condoms to use. Thank you. You're welcome. It's actually kind of important though. So now we continue. I interrupted my own thought. So So yeah, he's been raw dogging it with this chick for a year and a half. Find that interesting. So they must have started off that way. Find that interesting. Okay. So then we continue. He says, I generally don't see her cheating. I genuinely don't see her cheating unless she felt I was doing so already. And then in parentheses, he writes, which she has been known to do. Okay, so now we get into the ego protection and the cognitive dissonance that I talk about just from that one sentence. This is also why you guys need a coaching group. Listen, you will tell yourself a story, and that story may be not exactly the truth. A lot of times, the stories that we tell ourselves are designed to protect our self esteem or our egos, right? And so you need to tell the story to a group of guys who are going to call you out on your bullshit. All right. And that's and not to like be assholes or to shame you or to make you feel bad about yourself, but with the intent of wanting to help you out and, with good intentions and constructive feedback, I think saying like, hey, I think that you're off track here, or I think that you're not exactly seeing this the way you need to see it. All right. So that's part of what I do too in a coaching environment. It's just you can't see everything when you're in it. Sometimes, your perception of reality isn't always accurate. And so you want to get feedback and other opinions. All right. And so this guy is saying that he genuinely doesn't see her cheating, but then in the same sentence says that unless she thinks I'm doing it too, and then, or I'm doing it, unless she thinks I'm cheating, she's not going to cheat. And then the next sentence, and she, in parentheses, she's been known to do that. Okay, so she's been known. So what does that mean? She has a history, and this guy knows her history of cheating on men. And the excuse or the reasoning is, well, they were cheating on me, so I cheated on them. No. Okay, no. That is not the appropriate response to somebody cheating on you. The appropriate response, especially when you're 21, 22, we're not talking about somebody who is stuck in a marriage with a couple of kids. They're 40 years old, shared incomes. They can't divorce for 6 months because their state law makes them stay married because of the kids for 6 months. And they have to go through attorneys to unentangle their finances. And so it's going to be like 6 months to a year before they can leave the relationship. And so then he says, fuck it. You know what? I'm going to see other people and we'll live like single people until the divorce is finalized. Like that's a whole different story. Not at 21. She's 21 now. So when did this happen? When she was 20, when she was 19, right? Not a young ass girl who's in a relationship with some dude with no entanglements, no children, not necessarily living together, no shared income. Her response is to cheat on him too. What that is vindictive behavior. The correct response is, when you're not in some entangled circumstance where you're trapped, the correct response is to just leave the relationship and break up. That would be the mature response. Clearly, this girl is not mature. She's young too. At 22, or 21, she's at the limits of her, she just reached full brain development, or is doing so the year that this thing was, this story was told, right? So like her brain is not even fully finished developing into an adult brain, or it's right at the tail end at 21, right? So she is not a mature person. Girls under 25 usually are not mature. Girls under 21, especially, not even adults, in my opinion. Okay. Barely adults, right? Doesn't matter what they look like. Their brains are not adult brains yet. And so she's not mature. And so can you even believe if a girl tells you, well, I cheated a couple of times, but that's because they were cheating on me. Can you even believe that that's true? You know what I mean? Like there's a 50-50 chance that that's just a bullshit story she's telling to justify her infidelity, which a lot of people will do. They will cheat because they want to cheat. It's a mating drive. It's a human drive to go fuck other people. And they keep one, she wants the attention. She wants, the boyfriend. She wants the boyfriend experience as well as the single new guy experience. And she wants her cake and to eat it too. She doesn't respect commitment. She's not loyal, right? Many women are like this. Okay. And so she's going to make up excuses and then go out and cheat and fuck around and do whatever. You know what I mean? Well, lying to some guy that thinks he's the boyfriend. Girls like this are for recreational use only. You don't waste a commitment on them. And that's what it is. So already we know, based on his language alone, that she's for recreational use. She shouldn't be in a relationship with anybody, right? He should be seeing other people if he wants to be in a relationship. And at 22, I don't even recommend that, right? Why are you in a relationship? And why are you so entangled with someone at 22 that you're living together if that's the case? Why are you not just dating and seeing each other in a non-cohabitative way so you can get your life together as a man, right? It's going to take you some time and you don't reach your prime until you're in your 30s as a man. So you're wasting you're putting shackles on yourself to get in a serious commitment. I mean, a commitment, hey, it's my girlfriend, we're girlfriend, boyfriend, we're sexually committed, whatever, that's fine. Again, I don't even really recommend that necessarily, but people with certain values, religious values, they want to do monogamy. Okay, sure. But anything beyond, sort of a casual, we're both going to school and that's my girlfriend, I'm the boyfriend, and we live separate, we finance separate, we have separate lives. We're pursuing our adulthood and pursuing our goals separately, and we're together in a sexual relationship, in a companionship. Like anything past that, living together, kids, all that shit, it's too early for a man, in my opinion, to be doing that at 22 years old. You don't have shit figured out yet. You're not at the peak of your income. So you're going to saddle yourself with shackles that will prevent you from advancing your life and being the guy who could have a family, provide if that's what you want, or live the life that you want, and then get into that commitment. So it is not the 1950s anymore. Okay. Your single income household cannot pay for all the shit you need to pay for. It could barely buy groceries today. You need to get yourself and we also have a longer lifespan. So, I mean, people who have better medical care and people live longer, but it takes longer to get established financially for most people. And not just financially, but emotionally, mentally, and figuring out what you want out of life. So you need to do that shit first before you are saddling yourself in a serious commitment, starting families, doing all those things. That's my recommendation for a man. Okay. Particularly. And so they're too young for the shit anyway, but we'll continue. All right. And now he's in an entanglement, or rather a relationship, where she's finding condoms in her car, and they've been together for a year and a half. Okay. So we know she's a cheater and she has a history of cheating. Her story that she tells about it is the guy was cheating, so then she cheated, which is at best immature and demonstrate a vindictive nature, right? Versus the mature thing, which would be just to say, you're lying to me, you're sleeping with other people, you have low integrity. I'm not going to be in a relationship with somebody like that, so we're going to break up. That would be the appropriate answer. The inappropriate answer for young people who have no entanglements other than just deciding to be committed together would be, the inappropriate answer would be, oh, I cheated on him too. That demonstrates at best immaturity, at worst potential personality disorders, or potential other things, a vindictive nature, right? And so her ego protection and her story that she tells in order to try to make herself look better actually makes her look like shit. It doesn't make her look good. So that tells me this is a very low quality woman. Maybe she's hot or whatever, but she's low quality in terms of her standards for herself, her intelligence level, probably. She's probably a dumbass, right? And she's probably has low integrity, low levels of loyalty, and that's who she is, right? We know that from the get-go without even hearing about condoms in the car. All you have to do is tell me that a girl has a history of cheating and her reasons for it are because he was cheating on me first or two. All you have to do is tell me that that's her best laid story that she has about her cheating behavior. And I will tell you that unless she's changed who she is from that time period, which she hasn't, or she would tell that story differently. She's a low quality woman, right? She's not someone you should be in a relationship with. So we already know that she has a propensity to go out and fuck other dudes, right? Before we even get him to finish the story. And now we got condoms found in the car. So this is not a hard math problem, but guys make the math problem hard because they're not ruthless enough, right? This guy seems like he might be a nice guy. How do we know in a good way? Like he would be a good boyfriend for somebody who doesn't cheat on him, right? How do we know this? Because he found the stuff while he was warming her car up. So he was doing some things to take care of her, which indicates that maybe he has a high vasopressin response and is capable of commitment and capable of, having a good relationship and has that sense of wanting to care about other people and care about the person that he's in a relationship with. So we don't have a lot of information on this guy, but we can indicate that just based on that single behavior and how the story started. And you see how much information, like this is only about a 2-paragraph story, but and you see how much information we can pull out of just a paragraph or two when we can do a proper behavioral analysis. Now, imagine being able to do that in real time on the fly. Imagine how much insight you're going to have on the people that you're dealing with. Most guys don't have a clue who their wife or girlfriend really is. They have no awareness. They can't pull out information. She tells the story and he's like blind to all these signs, can't pick up on shit. You know what I mean? Because he's just not trained on how to do a proper behavioral analysis and pull out these details. But look at all these details we got already, and we haven't even gotten that far into a story. It's not even a long story. And we're 22 minutes into the stream with an analysis already with only a few sentences. So keep that in mind. I mean, I will say that's why, the reasons for joining the community and possibly getting into one of my groups is that you can increase these skills. All right. So I'll continue. So then he says, however, knowing Magnum sells condoms in at least packs of 3, only seeing 2 in the car worries me. Should it? Okay. So this guy he sounds like a nice guy who's in a relationship, cares about his girlfriend. I mean, we have very limited information. So this is a read based on the information we have. With more information, we would change the read if need be. But so far, we know that he's interested in taking care of his girlfriend, making sure her car is going to start in the cold, right? If you're up here in Michigan, it's pretty cold right now. We've had a couple of below 0 days already, this winter, a lot of snow. And so he's doing the good boyfriend thing. And then he finds these condoms. Now he's been with this girl for a year and a half. This guy is not ruthless. And then he's like, well, what do I do? Should I be worried? Should I be worried is his question. Listen to the ego protection. Like, you've been with someone a year and a half. They have condoms in their center console. And like, do you think she's never cleaned out or never opened her center console in a year and a half to then go, shit, maybe I should get rid of these fucking condoms so that the guy I'm with that I don't use these condoms with doesn't fucking get a question if he happens to open up the center console. Like, you know what I mean? Like, where's her fucking, like, that's somebody who's in a relationship who isn't cheating, okay, and just has a sexual history. Common sense would be she would remove that shit and clean her stuff out a little bit, right? She's not just gonna. Now I know women have messy cars, right? Like a lot of women, it seems like most women have trashed cars, dude, especially young girls. I don't know what it is about that, but they do. They trash their fucking cars. And so that's what happens. But you know what I mean? It's like, that's no excuse though. A normal girl who's loyal isn't going to just let these condoms chill out in her center console. And if it was only like a couple of months that they were seeing each other, I could see like, well, I never opened my center console and my car's a mess. So, that's why they're there. It's for leftover from the last guy I was seeing, whatever. Right. But a year and a half later, you cannot tell me she's never opened up that compartment in a year and a half. Why is he opening up that compartment and finding them? You know what I mean? So like, this is opening up. It's not even the glove box or somewhere obscure where, you can argue you never go in there. It's the center console of your vehicle. The chances are you're going in there at some point. Right. And so it's likely that these condoms ended up in her center console during the relationship. They were not put in the center console 2 years ago, sat in there a couple months, and then these two started seeing each other. So that's common sense, but you have to be able to have ego abandonment, calm your tendency for your anxiety to go up, your self-esteem to be injured and traumatized, and all that stuff. You have to be ruthless to be able to divorce your emotions from the situation for a minute, analyze what's going on, and then make the right decision that's best for your game, best for your outcomes. Okay. And that takes certain levels of skill and inner game that most people lack. And because they lack those skills, they end up making the wrong choices in these situations. Like this guy, for example, is unsure what to do about this. He's considering just not saying anything, letting it go based on the tone of what he wrote, which is insane, right? That's not going to line up the best outcomes for you unless you like being cucked or cheated on, in which case you can't expect good relationship outcomes if that is the case. All right. And so let's see, you guys have to up your level of ruthlessness, gain some emotional self-control. That is what my course that is going to be launched. I've been talking about this on live streams. Okay. So if you've heard this already, my bad. You're only going to have to hear about this for about another few days. And then I'm launching the course and then you won't have to hear about it again. Right. But the course, the Psychopath's Playbook, it's going to be fire. And it's not to make people like this nicer guy who warms up his girlfriend's car for her and makes sure her car is working for the next day. Not for a guy like this to stop doing those things necessarily, right? Not for somebody to become a psychopath or a selfish a-hole or any of those things. But there are certain skills, though, unfortunately, and certain things that due to the brain development of a psychopath, they're just better at certain things. And that's why many psychopathic people and dark triad types tend to be very successful, tend to do well with women, tend to get some of the things in life that the nicer, kinder, better men should be getting, but they don't because their the better guys have inner game issues and they have emotional responses and they have a tendency to ego protect, to shut down. Sometimes the biggest common emotional response is apathy or not taking action or ignoring and cognitive dissonance and ego protection. Those are the worst ones. When I say emotional responses, you're probably thinking, well, I don't cry or freak out, so I'm fine. No, but that's not the most common response that fucks guys up. The most common response is over rationalization, storytelling, ego protecting, again, so all things designed to protect your self-esteem, inaction, apathy, ignoring problems, you know what I mean? Distancing yourself from a problem rather than solving a problem. These are all inner game issues, and you need more action taking, more ruthlessness, more of a sense to want to win. And the course is going to change your brain and the way that your brain functions in order for you to get those things, in order for you to develop 8 core traits that are going to help you execute better in life and do better with women, do better in relationships, do better with money, do better with handling your friends and family, do better with your business, everything you need to get, right? And so I actually won't play the ad this time. I played it yesterday. I'll play it tomorrow maybe, but that's enough of an ad right here, what I'm telling you. And so make sure you're in the community. Make sure that if you haven't gotten in the community, that you do so today. The link is in the description. It's a free service, and it gives you, it's valuable. It allows you to get some feedback right there. And for those who are in the community, they're going to get the links and the opportunity to sign up for the course. And once I reach a certain number, I'm going to cut off signups, because the course is not just an extension of my YouTube channel. All right. And my coaching programs, by the way, are not an extension of my YouTube channel. It's not just more of me talking. All right. There's skills to develop and practice and role play where I teach you, you learn, you practice. There's accountability. There's feedback from taking action into your life. And for those who need the one-on-one sessions and some of the work, there's more deeper therapeutic type sessions where we're releasing trauma and stuff like that. All things I can't do on a YouTube video. Okay. So just learning about stuff is not the same as taking action. I mean, I appreciate you guys and your participation in my channel. And I, of course, will invite you to like, subscribe, and share things so we can help more guys out. But you got to understand that passively watching or listening to YouTube does not replace taking action, getting direct feedback, learning skills, overcoming any kind of inner game issues that is preventing you from doing things better. Things like trauma, things like emotional reactions that are not productive, right? These are all things we work on in these courses. It's not just me giving you another YouTube video that you get to see privately and not on the channel. So you got to understand what you're actually getting, and it's worth it. So that's that advertisement. That's all we need to do. Let's get more into now what this guy should be doing, right? So here's the thing. This happens. Okay. Oh, and if you guys got any questions or important comments, the super chat, the sticker, those things help algorithms. You don't need to give me a ton of money. It just does help, or just ask it and I'll try to find it. You won't get missed if you do one of those other things though. And so, yeah, I'll look at some of the, yeah, she was holding the condoms for a friend. Yeah, the friend she's having sex with. She was holding it in her vagina. That's where the third one went. That's pretty funny. Yeah, you're right on this, in the sense that guys who are kind, unfortunately, good guys, they unfortunately can end up in a situation where they repeat being victimized their entire lives. Many of you guys listening to this right now have, and I hate to use the word victimized, because I don't want you to see yourself as a victim. You have control to fix it, but because you haven't, you've had people do bad things to you. Many of you guys have had women do shitty things to you in relationships or dating, and it's because you don't have the frame or the mindset or the skill set yet, or the training on how to run your relationships and dating scenarios accordingly or productively. And people walk on you. You know, that's what my course is going to help with. No one's going to walk on you if you establish the skills I teach in the Psychopaths playbook. All right. You're not going to get walked on. The danger is that you walk on or take advantage of somebody else, which I think as a kind, good guy, you're not going to do that. And that's the idea. And I'll show you how to use that ethically, because it's very important that you don't take things too far or in a direction where you're really harming others. That's really important. But we talk about that stuff in the course too. Okay. So, yeah, but this is correct. If you don't fix it, if you're an empathetic guy, a good guy, a guy that would be a great dad, a great husband, a good dude for these chicks. The thing that the chicks say that they want, but they never go for, right? Because they're going for some asshole who has more survivable traits, but he's an asshole and he doesn't do the things that she thinks that she wants, right? Because she does want those things, but she's not attracted to those things. She's attracted to strength. And so you have to have a balance of strength and ruthlessness coupled with empathy and a sense of care for the person that you're with. Very difficult to establish that balance. Most people do not have the balance. Most people are way on one side or the other. Okay. And if you're on just that nice guy side of things, you're a walking victim. You won't go, don't rely on a woman and her kindness and her values to be the thing that doesn't get you fucked over. Let me tell you why. In her DNA, her mammalian brain is designed to fuck you over if you're weak. That's the reality. Women are, they don't mean to do it. It's just that they are attracted to strength and the type of guy that's going to help her and her offspring, her babies, survive in the cruel world. And if you are a kind, benevolent, empathetic guy, but they come across as weak, she's going to then challenge you and try to make you stronger. And when you fail those shit tests, then she's going to resent you. She's going to push your buttons. She's going to find herself doing. I've talked to many women in these relationships with nice guys, and they feel terrible because they're like, I was so mean to him and I don't know why I did that, or I did these really shitty things that what's wrong with me? Well, there's nothing wrong with her. She's just a woman, and her mammalian brain is telling her to toughen this dude up or to get rid of him. And if she can't or doesn't feel like she wants to get rid of him because he's a good guy, then she feels trapped and resentful, and all these shitty bad behaviors come out. And until a woman really gets some therapy or for not even just therapy, because a lot of therapists have no idea what they're doing, but gets with the right professional or gets the right information, like, it's very difficult for a woman to understand why she reacts the way she does, because no one's teaching her necessarily. You know what I mean? So it's not even negative against women. You just have to understand. You're expecting, if you're a nice guy and you're expecting that you're going to get with a woman and she's going to take care of you. If only you find the right woman. I got some sorry ass news for you. There is no right woman. Okay. Because the nicest, kindest, best woman in the world is going to start resenting you for your weakness if you are coming across as a weak guy. So the trick is to maintain the good qualities of empathy and care and taking care of a person you're with, while adding in a little bit more dominance and masculinity, and adding in standards and boundaries, and adding in strength. The key is to be the strong guy who's empathetic and kind to the right people, not someone who is too weak to be anything else but empathetic and kind. That guy is actually potentially dangerous because, he gets a little bit of power. Maybe he abuses it. You know what I'm saying? And so, like, you don't want to be somebody who's a helpless, weaker, type of a guy who's only the nice guy because you don't have a choice. It's not attractive. And I'm telling you, you're going to get fucked over by everyone you date and everyone you get in a relationship with. And the worst ones are going to be the ones that are slow burns. The nice, kind girl who's wife material, she's going to fuck you over too, but she's going to be over a long period of time of disappointment from being with a weak guy like you. So she's disappointed year after year with you and eventually gets fed up. That's the worst one, is when you lose it with a good woman because you can't get your shit together and no one's taught you how, right? But you know, somebody who's great material, potential, good potential, like long-term relationship person, and you lose that person over time and suffering. You suck her life away, and she suffers, you suffer, and it lasts a long ass time. Oftentimes kids are involved, all kinds of problems, just because you couldn't get your fucking inner game together. Like, don't do it. Don't do it. Okay. You got to get in. Nobody taught you. Nobody showed you the right way. Nobody trained you on how to be different. You got to get into something that's going to help you with that. All right. That's my advice to everybody. Okay. So that's such a good point, though, and a good comment. And so, anyways, what are his choices? Okay. What are his choices? Well, first thing again is what he needs to do. Thing number one is intelligence gathering. So he finds 2 condoms. All right. Let's take a look at the car. Let's look at her lifestyle. Does she clean out her car ever? Does she have a year and a half worth of empty water bottles and fucking, you know, used blunts or cigarettes, you know, and fucking dirty socks from a year ago? Like, all like, is her car a foot and a half full of shit? And you open the door and empty pop cans fall out. Like, what is the condition of her vehicle? What is the condition of her lifestyle? How is she living? You can't say if she's not somebody who literally has shit just falling out her car every time she opens the door and she never cleans anything, she's a slob. If this chick is a slob, okay, then maybe it's possible. If you open the center console and there was tons of trash in the center console, and you had to dig through the trash to find 2 condoms sitting in the bottom of the center console, maybe we could say, based on that intelligence gathering, that these condoms might be before the relationship, because that would be but that's pretty rare. Like, we're talking really messy and really bad habits. So you're either dating a slob who has horrible habits, and if she doesn't change, like, you can be a little bit messy, right? You don't have to be perfect, but like, if you're hoarder level messy, or if you're dirty level messy, man or woman, no one's going to want to live with you. So she either has horrible, horrible habits that are not really livable, and those need to drastically change, and those condoms truly are from before the relationship, then okay, maybe, right? But that's such a slim chance. If she's cleaned her car out ever, right? If she's ever thrown away trash from her car, if she keeps her things halfway decent, even not even halfway, like 20% clean, like she's still really messy, her bathroom's trash. A lot of these girls trash, the young girls especially, got makeup all over the bathroom. I mean, women are funny. They talk about how disgusting men are, and then they have their shit everywhere, you know what I mean? But it's like, okay, but even if she's only 20% good, right, she would have found these condoms, and then a person who has the right mind of not cheating would get rid of them, right? These are condoms from a previous boyfriend, right? She'd get rid of them. So right there, we already know. We can already probably assume that this is current condoms, not old condoms. Another thing is, women aren't buying the larger condoms to have a condom stash for in case they get laid, or for, you know, the single girl condom stash usually doesn't involve the larger condoms. Usually, if you're a guy who needs larger condoms, you have to bring your own condoms to the party, right? So that's a reality of that. So what does that mean? She doesn't have just random condoms left over from when she was single and she didn't throw them out. These Magnum condoms belong to somebody else, right? Or either she got them or the other person got them. But this Magnum condoms belong to a guy's penis that went inside of her body. So we know that these condoms were for a guy who was fucking her at one point, probably fucking her while he's in the relationship. We also know from our intelligence gathering that she has a history of cheating and having a sorry ass excuse for it. And this guy, in his ego protection, and I read it so you guys could see in real time, like what guys do to protect their own egos. This guy is like, well, I don't see that she would ever cheat because unless I was cheating, and she has a history of that. Like, so in his mind, and this is how convincing and easy it is for women to lie to you guys because you guys let them do it. Like, in his mind, she gave him the okay to accept her cheating behavior in her past and then to not put his guard up, you know? So she gave him that pass because it's like, oh, I wouldn't cheat on anybody else. I've only cheated on the bad guys who are cheating on me. That's the story. And this guy falls right for it, you know, and it's a bullshit story. It's most likely not even true. But if it is true, it's still a poor excuse for cheating. You should leave the relationship if someone's cheating on you, not cheat on them back to get your revenge. That demonstrates a lack of maturity and a lack of ethics in somebody who, and it demonstrates it's the behaviors of a vindictive person, right? And so do you want to be with that person? So already she looks like kind of a shitty person. All right. And the evidence is not adding, is at when you gather intel, when you calm your emotions down and you just gather intel and get a behavioral analysis. What is the story telling me? Well, the story is pretty obviously telling you that she's cheating on you. Okay. So that's the story. Now I'm going to give you choose your own adventure in the story, 3 potential responses. Okay. So there's 3 things you can do. I wouldn't do 2 of these 3 things. I would jump to the 3rd thing. If you have a ruthlessness about you, you're probably going to jump to the 3rd thing too. But I'll start with the lightest of all 3 of them. So one of the things is, well, another thing, first of all, more intelligence gathering, I forgot to mention, is 2 things, right? Other things to mention. So getting ahead of myself by getting to your solutions, right? So when you have condoms have expiration dates on them. Every packet, individual condom packages all have an expiration date somewhere on it. Sometimes the print gets off. Okay, so, but you have 2 of them. So chances are you're going to see an expiration date if you look for it. What are the expiration dates on those condoms? Well, so now condoms last about 5 years. That's the expiration date. You can look that one up. I did before the stream the answer was 5 years. So what that means is now I have a window to work with. All right. It's 2026. So if the expiration date says 2030 or 2031, then that means she bought the condoms or the condoms were purchased while she was in the relationship with the guy, right? If the expiration date, if you count 5 years and it doesn't, the date isn't earlier than your 1.5 year relationship, you know what I'm saying? So like, okay, so they were dating, 1.5 years ago. That's 2023, halfway through the year, right? Is that about right? 23? No, 2024, because we're 2026 now, but we're just the beginning of 2026. So let's say like 1.5 years ago would have been 2024 around summer. Okay, so it's not going to be a year, it'll be a month, right? They'll give a month and a year. So if it expires 2030, okay, then guess what? She bought it. It's a 5-year window from the manufacturer. So she definitely bought it during when you're in a relationship, or that's when it was bought, right? So like you can do a little digging there. You can tell by the expiration date, do a little math, figure that out if need be. Now it's possible that, that they were bought during the whatever, you know what I mean? It's possible that the guy had old condoms. I mean, there's a lot of possibilities. So even if the dates like demonstrate that they were purchased or, before you guys were together, that doesn't necessarily make her off the hook, but you can at least confirm, if you need to confirm in your mind that she's cheating on you, what by those dates. So again, when you're thinking clearly and not clouded emotionally and trying to avoid the painful feelings, you can start analyzing things appropriately. All right. And so then of course, the other thing is looking at her patterns and her patterns of life. I mean, do her patterns match up somebody who would have opportunities to cheat? And what's going on there? And most of the time the answer is yes. You're having trouble sending a super chat. That's crazy, man. Sorry to hear that. I don't know why that is. I will look into it. I have no idea why that is, but it could be. I've had trouble too on other people's channels, and I don't know why I did that. Like I've tried to support, friends of mine who do the YouTube thing, throw them a super or whatever, and I've had it fuck up. So I'm not really sure. I'll read your stuff though. I'll look at it. So anyways, no, but condoms are they made of milk? No, it's a long expiration, but they do deteriorate in the package. So, you know what I mean? You can't just hold on to condoms for 20 years. Not going to work. They do deteriorate, the rubber, the latex, or if it's not latex, still it's the synthetic, material will deteriorate over time. And so, yeah, for safety, because you're dealing with something that, is supposed to prevent STDs and pregnancy, for safety, they have to put an expiration date on each package, each label. And so these are things, right? Like when you think clearly, you can do this little detective work. If you're in my community, if this guy posted in my community to get feedback, somebody would come up with these things, right? You would get different opinions, things that you don't necessarily think of. And that's the value of it, right? Is getting that feedback. Many different heads are usually better than one. So now with that, you've done your analysis, which only takes about 2 minutes, takes longer to explain on a stream than it does to do. What should this guy do? Well, again, he's got 3 potential responses, 2 of which I would not do personally. I would stick with number 3, and I'll tell you what that is. That's number 3. So when he gets to number 3, that's the one I'm doing. Okay. So these first 2, some of you guys are gonna be like, wait a second, I wouldn't do that. Are you advising that he does that? Well, I'm saying it's okay if he does it. I'm not advising it. I advise number 3. Okay. In this scenario, sometimes in other scenarios, you might do one of these other answers. So the first one is more of the passive way of doing it, which is to put the condoms back the way you found them and give it a couple weeks. Take a photo of them, only because if you have to have the discussion, when women lie, they will use all the mental gymnastics in the world. They'll cry, they'll use emotional manipulation, and you have to say, I caught you dead to rights. You saying, well, I saw this. Well, you didn't see that. And they'll try to gaslight you until you didn't see something. So women like this so many women out there are gaslighters, liars, and they use emotional manipulation. And if you don't just, hey, I saw your ex has been texting you. I saw it come across the screen of your phone, what are you guys texting about? I'm not texting my ex. You didn't see the right thing. They'll gaslight you. And if you don't have, and she deleted all the messages. Show me the proof. Where? You look at my phone. It's not there. And then they'll play fucking games, dude. And it'll make you crazy, right? So don't even entertain that. First of all, if you know what you saw, I don't care. I know what I saw, and I don't care what you have to say. You know what I mean? And you're lying to me now, so we're over with. I don't care. You have to be ruthless enough to not give a shit. Not give a shit enough to hear their gaslighting and their bullshit. But to even prevent all of that, when you have evidence, and you don't need hard evidence for anything, you really don't. But it helps to have it. So go ahead and put the condoms right back where you found them, take a photo, close it up, give it a couple weeks. Watch her patterns of life, observe. And then after a few weeks, check the center console, see if the condoms are still there. If the condoms were not there, removed, or you got one left, right, or whatever, then you don't even need to ask any more questions, right? You know for a fact she's using those on somebody. If she removed them, okay, then you know that she is concealing something. She's probably cheating. Those got removed because they got used. You can assume that. You know what I mean? And so, she's hiding it and all that stuff. That would be one answer. Not the one I recommend, but that's certainly one way to go about it. I would say it's the much weaker way of doing it. And I certainly wouldn't do that. But hey, some guys might want to do that, whatever. I personally couldn't even do that myself. I would just be like, I'm not going to fake this. I'm not going to fake and play games for the next 2 weeks. That's just me. All right. So option number 2 is you just sit her down and talk about it. Right. And so you just sit her down and, have a conversation. And in that conversation, you're going to get into a lot of different things that you should have already gotten into before the relationship. Things like her sexual history. Who do these condoms belong to? Who use these condoms on you? Why are they in the car still a year and a half after a relationship? What's been going on? Give her an opportunity to tell her story. Chances are she's going to lie to you and she's going to gaslight you. Not because every woman is necessarily going to lie to you and gaslight you always, but this particular woman is going to, right? So assume that she's going to lie, assume that she's going to gaslight, and then you say, okay, well, I need to see your phone right now while we're sitting here, and I'm going to go through all your messages. And I shouldn't find anything I'm not supposed to find if you're telling the truth. If she gives any resistance at all to looking at her phone, now granted, a really smart liar can make sure messages are cleaned out, deleted, all that stuff. There's smart ways of being able to find those messages. Okay. And so a way to do that also would be like, okay, I'm looking through this. Don't see anything on apps, this, that, and the other. But I want your text transcripts. You can have that printed off from whoever her phone service provider is. She can voluntarily get her text transcripts. This is what someone will get a court order to do in cases. And so you can't just delete messages, but law enforcement will get, subpoena their text records, and the phone service provider has to provide that. They have to keep record of it for like a year or two or something. There's some amount of time that legally these phone service providers have to keep a record of all messages for the purpose of law enforcement being able to subpoena that information. And so she can ask for it. You don't have to go to court to subpoena it. She can get those she can ask for that information, and she can provide that information for you. If she's unwilling to provide her text records to prove that she's not cheating, if she's unwilling to let you look through her phone while you're sitting there, and she's going to give all the excuses and reasons why you shouldn't, then you just break up with her, because then she's cheating on you. There isn't anything else. You know that she's not telling the right story. Get ready for waterworks, crying, gaslighting, bullshit, deflection, talking about something you did wrong a year, when they started dating, blame shifting. Be prepared for every tactic in the book, because girls do not like to find out that they're shitty people, right? A girl wants to be a good chimpanzee. I use the word chimpanzee because I'm talking about our mammalian brain. So a guy wants to be a useful chimpanzee. That's us. So us men, we want to be the guy that's capable and useful. So we will ego deflect, gaslight, lie, and do all that shit to defend our capability, right? To defend our ability to be useful. That's where guys will do all that shit. Women will do that when they have to take accountability and say that, okay, you got me. I'm actually a shitty person. Women need to be good chimpanzees. Men need to be useful chimpanzees. That's my little saying from evolutionary psychology principles, right? So like, evolutionarily speaking, her mammalian brain will have a strong aversion to realizing she's a shitty human being. And so get prepared if she is cheating, which she 99% chance is, get prepared for all the waterworks and all the deflection and all the blame shifting and the craziness and the crying and the, it depends on the girl. How violent is she? Is she going to throw shit? She's going to attack you. You're going to call the police. What kind of relationship is this, right? So be prepared for all that when you expose her, or when you break up with her for not allowing you to see her phone and not giving you access to her records, right? So that is option 2. Option 2 is better than option 1. Option 2 requires a lot of emotional self-control and a lot of ruthlessness. Okay. And most guys will not do option 2 properly. Most guys will let a girl gaslight the shit out of them into not looking at anything, and then she'll have time to delete stuff. That most guys will put up with her lying and deleting and doing those things and just be like, I don't know what to do. And that's what most guys will do. The problem with option 2, though, even though it's a good option, is it's a lot of drama in option 2. Like I said, girls don't do well when they're required to be accountable or when they're shown that they're not the good person that they think that they are and that they're telling the world, right? And so when they find that out, they're not usually good at going, I'm sorry. I've been having sex with other people. I have been having sex with this guy. I shouldn't have been doing that. And you're right. And we should break up, or I don't want to break up. I actually dumped him or whatever, but I mean, I understand and I'm a piece of shit and I'm sorry. And I'm going to work on myself and go to church and pray and get some help, so I can not be a bad person. That would be the appropriate answer. Most women, like almost all, like will not ever do that in this scenario. Okay. So that's why I don't like number 2, because I'm a low drama person. And my mindset is, I don't fucking need shit. I already have everything I fucking need, and I don't fucking care. No matter how awesome somebody is in a relationship, if they're going to violate my integrity, they're going to violate loyalty, I don't need anything else. I'm just gone. That's it. I don't need to counter cheat, play games, sit down and have a dramatic discussion. I don't need the reassurance of sitting down with somebody and watching them. I used to need that, I guess, right? But as I've become less drama oriented and more, I guess, ruthless in the right places, as I've grown experience with age, I don't care to have that drama discussion. I don't. If somebody's doing the wrong thing and I know they're doing the wrong thing and they're violating the relationship boundaries in such a way where I'm not coming back from it. And there's very few things that wouldn't warrant a discussion. But to me, oh, you're fucking someone else. Well, that doesn't warrant a discussion for me. If I find out that's the case, it's like, well, I guess we're just breaking up. You know what I mean? Like I don't need to get all of how many positions did you have you in? How did he used to do it? Was he better than me? How often did you see him? How long has this thing been going on? I want to know the details. Guys want to all know the details. That actually is a mammalian brain response. That's something that Rollo Tomasi's talked about actually pretty accurately, right? I don't care, right? And this is the beauty of having that inner game power, is that when you know something's fucked and you know you're not coming back from it, you don't need any more reassurance. You don't need, you have all the reassurance you need. You reassure yourself. You know how to win. Like if that were to, and so if I'm in this guy's shoes, I'm just leaving because I know that he's 22 years old. He's got plenty of other women in his future. He's got plenty of other opportunities with better women. We've clearly established this chick is not the highest quality of a woman, right? So just say thank you. Thank you for fucking playing and being so careless, so I could find this out. And we're breaking up, and it was nice knowing you, and I appreciate it. I'm going to I'm going to be dating soon, and it's not going to be you. Thank you very much. I mean, I wish you the best. Hope you work on yourself, because this kind of behavior isn't good. It's not good for loyalty, integrity. It's not going to give you the best outcomes in life, but that's up to you to work on now. I mean, thanks for playing, and we're done. That's option 3. I'm not somebody who is like quick to break up or who advises. I'm not one of those red pill rage channels or whatever, where I'm just like, just next her, bro. Like I talk about in my community how ridiculous that just next her, bro mindset is. That's not what I'm saying. But in this scenario where it's very clear that you're being cheated on, now it's time to just next her, because your choices are being a cuck or being cheated on and lied to. And the times when there are a few relationships where guys come back from cheating and they have actually successful relationships. I've worked with guys who the girl was unfaithful during periods in the relationship, but they come back from it. Well, there's certain key criteria that needs to be in place for that to work out long term. One of those is you being her sexual best, and we got to sort that part out, but and the reasons for her cheating in the first place. But the other one is full 100% accountability and willing to do whatever it takes in order to improve herself so that these things never happen again. There is no ego protective behavior. There is no fucking whataboutisms or excuses or rationalizations. She needs full accountability. If there isn't full accountability, it's never going to work out. And so that's the very few and far between chances. Because the other thing is, most guys don't want to come back from this. If a girl that you've invested in has been unfaithful, most dudes are like, I don't really want to come back from this. And I sit in that camp. I'm not saying, you never know till you're in the situation. So I'm not saying that 100%. None of you can say it 100%, because you don't know until you're in the situation. But I do know from my past history, the few times that a girl has been unfaithful, I've been with a lot of women, so I have a lot of experiences. Most have not been unfaithful, but the times that it has happened, I didn't come back from it. It's just, for me, I don't come back from it. There's certain things I won't come back from. I know that from my history, and I don't want to. I don't really want to change that. So that's what I find with most guys, right? But this guy in this scenario, in my opinion, the best answer in this case is to just next her, bro. You're 22, she's 21. She clearly doesn't have loyalty or integrity. Just next her. Now, here's the thing about just nexting her. Sometimes that is the right answer. And then what happens is it puts the responsibility and the onus on her to salvage the relationship. So if this dude is like, I found the condoms, we're breaking up. She's like, no, those aren't my condoms. They belong to my friend. She borrowed my car. Like, she has some elaborate story. I don't care. If I'm in his shoes, I don't care. It's up to her to prove, not just tell me a story, but she is guilty as far as I'm concerned. This is not a court of law. This is your relationship, and boundaries have been violated, and it's the clear evidence lines up. It's up to the other person's guilty because you say they're guilty. See, it's your frame. It's not a courtroom. A lot of guys assume their relationships are courtrooms where you have to have fairness and evidence and due process. No, you don't. This is your relationship. You control the frame as a man in your relationship. You decide. If you decide she's guilty, she's fucking guilty. And it's up to her to prove that she isn't. It's the other way around. She's not just assumed innocent, and then you have to prove her. Oh, you can't show me a screenshot of the text messages or this, that, and the other, so you don't have enough evidence. So, no. That's game playing, okay? We don't play games. You don't play games in your relationship. If you've done an analysis, you believe she's cheating, as far as you're concerned, and as far as I'm concerned, if I'm coaching you, she's fucking cheating, and you respond accordingly. You're going to break up. Now, this is assume you were reasonable, okay? You're not just being a crazy person. But if you're reasonable, like in this case, all the evidence lines up. down to her personality traits and characteristics, get rid of her. If she's different and that story is different and she's not cheating and all this stuff, it's up to her to do it. So when he says, hey, like, you know what, we're ending the relationship, I found the condoms, that's fine, whatever, this is just the way it's going to be. It's up to her to say, no, I'm not cheating. Here's the story and here's the proof. Here, look through my phone. I'll share my passwords with you. I'll share my locations. Look through all my stuff. So you'll see I'm not having conversations with other dudes. I'll have my friend talk to my friend or whatever, the female friend who, whatever, who's involved in this. Talk to this. Like, she will go above and beyond to prove her innocence, because a girl's drive is to be a good chimp, right? So if she is being a loyal, good girlfriend and you're mistaken, she will go above and beyond the standard to try to prove that she's a good girl. And if she's not doing that, she's fucking guilty, man. That's it. She did it, and that's it. And she's just trying to gaslight you into thinking otherwise. And if you're a nice, kind person, the kind of guy who starts the girl's car and checks it out to make sure she can go to work the next morning, a good guy like that, you are ripe for being taken advantage of, gaslit, and lied to, because you're going to believe her bullshit instead of going, no. You're not going to shame me and call me insecure and say this and that and get mad and use emotional manipulation to try to make me, feel like an idiot for looking at the obvious. If you didn't cheat, if you're not being unfaithful, you're going to prove that to me through your actions. You're going to go above and beyond to make sure. That's the response of the right kind of girl. The wrong kind of girl is going to get mad and what are you looking through my car for? And come up with all kinds of bullshit. And then, and a lot of you guys listening right now have been through all kinds of bullshit, and that's what they did, right? So then, okay, that's why sometimes the ruthless answer is the right answer. Just fucking break up with her and leave it up to her to solve it, because she's the one who created the problem to begin with. This is not your problem to now solve, and you got to rescue and salvage this relationship. Your job is to move on and find better bitches. Her job is to fucking fix it if she's really a good girl. And if she's not a good girl, she's not going to be convincing. She's not going to fix it. And then you don't need any other reassurance than that. And that's the beauty of having strong inner game, right? You'll make these better decisions. Now let me look at some of these things. Okay, we got the super chats. They did work for some of you guys. That's awesome. Ooh, we got a lot of comments here too. Okay. So I'm going through the comments. Here we are. Alex here has a very funny comment, and I like the censorship. Yeah. So she had a bottomless pit down there, right? Is that what you're trying to tell me? Yeah. When you saw the size of her monstrous toys that she actually uses, that's not going to work. That's pretty funny, dude. Some of these comments are pretty funny, man. You guys are hilarious. Okay, we're going through some of the comments. Here we go. Yep. So you guys know, some of you guys know, right? Made that mistake, moved in with her 22. I know. I've made those mistakes too, man. You know what I mean? It happens. Well, and that's why this channels like mine that has objective advice and not just rage bait. Okay. This is the kind of stuff young guys need to hear. They need to get this feedback, because they're going to be the guys that we've all been that guy in his 20s making mistakes with women. And so these guys need to, they don't have, not that our dads and grandfathers are necessarily good at giving advice in this area to begin with, although I think in the past we've had more alpha type dads offer good examples, even if their advice wasn't good. But now in 2026, the average 20-year-old guy, I mean, my God, 2006, right, was his birthday. He didn't grow up with a masculine father. Chances are he didn't grow up with that influence. And so these guys don't know what masculinity looks like. They don't know what positive masculinity looks like. They think that anything masculine is bad, right? And they don't have good ways of handling women, and they make worse mistakes than we did when we were in our 20s. So that's why I need your guys' help to get this info out there, man. These guys need to hear it. Yeah, that's it. Meanwhile, her friends are in her ear, right? Women are coaching other women to be shitty women. That's for sure. That's happening in mass. Women are becoming less and less dateable and marryable year after year. And all of those, women that are just unsalvageable are just giving advice to young girls and making them unsalvageable. It's crazy. And so we need to be giving positive advice to other men and young men so that they can bring that masculinity in a positive way to the table that will attract women and make, and not the simping, not the porn addicted bullshit behavior, but like all that simping behavior that these girls are exposed to. More and more guys showing up and being real men. That's what's going to break these young women out of acting the way that they do. When they're around a real dude, things change a little bit. So yeah. And thank you. I am speaking the big facts over here. You guys got good. Women tell on themselves. Yes, they do. You guys are hilarious. Yeah, women did manage to make that word nice. Oh, weird. Okay, there we go. She's holding condom. That was funny. She's holding condom for her friend. Let's see here. What else we got? Well, I'm not going to put that up there. I'm surprised they let you put that there. Some of these comments are on the line, dude. It's fucking funny. Tyrone or Jamal? I don't know. They get it. They get all the ladies, right? Those two guys, man. Chad too. Chad, Tyrone, Jamal. They get them all. leaving everybody in the dust, right? He needs to leave her ass. Yeah, he does. And that's really what it is, right? I mean, it's pretty much a no-brainer, but when a guy is emotionally invested, and again, when the guy is the kind of guy who's going to go start a car and do the right things to make sure she's taken care of, which, by the way, I recommend that you are that guy. Okay, that's the good guy. You be that guy still. But the guy who's that kind of guy without any other kind of coaching or advice usually ends up the guy who's also cheated on and isn't sure what to do about it. You have to have both. You have to have that dominance and ruthlessness coupled with the ability to take care of the person that you're with. It's two things, So this is interesting. If she used them, no condoms would have been found, but he's finding two, and they come in packages of 3. And I'll tell you from somebody who has carried condoms in his vehicle before, right? I mean, that's a common thing. If you're a single person, I usually have a full box, right? Condoms come in a box of 12. If you don't use all 12 that evening, you use 10. You know what I'm saying? You might have a couple left over in your car. So having the condoms just sitting there is doesn't mean that she didn't use them. If it was an unopened box, it would still be like, why do you have this unopened box here? But that's a little better than finding two singular packages in the car. The unopened box would still require an explanation, but a little bit better than finding those two. And it is hard to find that balance. And that's where your inner game comes in. Some guys become an asshole and just to protect their own, it's a protective thing. They're trying to protect they've been hurt before, whatever. So they're trying to protect themselves by being an asshole. And that's not really good, right? So having strong inner game is being able to have that balance. And so it is difficult, which is why, we train that stuff. We learn it, we train it. I practice. I'm doing something daily for my inner game. Everybody should be, just like you do some physical stuff for your body every day, go to the gym, go for a run, go for a walk. You need to do something for your brain every day too. All right. And a lot of guys think just because they use their brain every day that means that they're strengthening their mind. And that's not true. You have to do things to strengthen your mind, just like you do your body. Okay. This is a great question. What are the signs of a woman who is sexually frustrated? How do you get to elicit and apply this intel on a first date or even a cold approach? All right, bro. I'm going to write this question down. Because that is a topic for a whole nother live stream. All right. Because on a first date or a cold approach, yeah, you're trying to find, well, that's a really interesting question. See, the assumption is that she probably is sexually frustrated. And you can tell she's sexually frustrated because either she's really horny and really responsive to your seduction and when you go overt and direct with her, or she's acting in ways that are how a frustrated woman would act in the dating market. All right. So like, just kind of like being a little bit difficult. You know what I mean? She wants to be with you, but she's not sure. And she's not sure if she's like, sometimes that aloof, I don't say aloof behavior, but like uncertain behavior comes from sexual frustration. She's afraid to fully go in with you and just be disappointed. So that means one of two things. One is that, if she's 10 out of 10 attracted to you right off the bat, then her confidence in your ability to fuck her right goes way up. And then a lot of those inhibitions and sort of game playing and some of those things come down. You know what I mean? So here's the thing. It's like guys think, particularly in the men's dating help space, they think that a woman's more difficult behaviors on a pickup or a date is because her attraction isn't as high as it should be. And that's only partially correct, right? The other part is, though, that her baggage is causing her to react this way. That baggage is coming from a lack of sexual satisfaction, generally speaking. You know what I mean? So, like, think of a scenario. Let's say she had a good sexual relationship with an ex 3 years ago. That broke up because he cheated on her. Then she's had a series of one-night stands or short-term boyfriends that have been mostly sexually unsatisfying. And now you're talking to her, right? So she has sexual dissatisfaction on her subconscious mind. She's talking to you and you're not super Chad, super attractive guy enough yet for her to just be like, well, I'm fucking this guy. You know what I mean? So she's just kind of like, here's another guy who's going to fumble around with my pussy. That's like her initial reaction. So her initial way of handling you is uncertain, maybe seeming a little bad attitude, a little frustrated, just a little bit hard to get on a date. If you've ever been texting somebody and they're like, well, I don't know, I'm kind of busy this week. Like she keeps responding to you, but then she's not like setting the date because she's unsure. All of these difficult behaviors is usually the sign of a sexually frustrated woman who doesn't yet see you as the solution to that problem. So the key in the pickup is to illustrate through your behavior that you're the solution to her sexually frustrated problem. All right. And most women are sexually frustrated to a degree. So they haven't been fucked right. They've been fucked, but they haven't been fucked right. So this is the behavior you'll get. Now, So with that, you use those seduction skills. The last thing about this, it's okay if she doesn't think you're 10 out of 10 attractive the second she sees you. Okay. I don't fucking, I used to get that reaction. I have not gotten that reaction, I think, in a while. You know what I mean? I'm an older guy, right? And I'm fucking, uh, I get more scared reactions. Oh, who's this fucking guy? You know what I mean? Versus like, oh, wow, he's so hot. I want to jump into bed with him. You know what I mean? I'm not the, um, you know, guy who's going to go get chosen to go be in a modeling calendar or something anytime soon. My body's pretty muscular, but that's not even the point, right? Like I'm not necessarily that guy, right? I was that guy at one time. I'm older now. And so like that doesn't matter though. Like my girlfriend is 10 out of 10 attracted to me. What how, attraction and desire is an experience. So if she starts off with you, like she starts off with most guys, 6 out of 10, 7 out of 10 attraction. Like she likes you enough, you know what I mean, to exchange a phone number. She likes you enough to want to go on a date with you, but you're still getting like this frustrated sort of aversive behavior. That tells you that she's a bit more sexually frustrated than the average girl. And that's good news because you're going to be the solution to that problem. So the key to that is to open that girl up. When I was single and I would get that behavior, I knew that girl needed to be fucked properly. And I saw that as my challenge, which was to open her up sexually and to finally get what she's been looking for quite some time. And so if you have that mental framework, you see how framing works. If you have that mental framework, you're not going to get some of this. And again, I'm not talking other behaviors which show that she's not attracted at really. Like, I'm not talking like ignoring your texts and not texting back. And like, I'm talking like she's responsive, but hard to deal with. You're getting difficulties. What you need to do is go, all right, I see that as a challenge. You know, I see that as a challenge. And because once you meet that challenge, and if you're good in the bedroom for her, it's going to be a really good experience. Like, it's like you'll see a girl turn from the sexually frustrated, difficult behavior to very sexually into you and wanting to fuck all the time and just like being very, very attracted and almost addicted. So it's a good time. All right. That should be a whole topic though, really. So that's a great question. And so we'll keep going here. All right. So I got to close this stream. Just want to say thanks, Erkin, for the $10 in whatever currency that is. I do appreciate it. And thank you. Vast, you finally got your supers to work. That does help algorithms, I've been told. So really do appreciate it. Thank you very much, guys. And hopefully I was able to answer those questions. And that was the question I answered. So hopefully that was a good answer. Really, there's more to it. So maybe I need to do a live stream on that soon. You know what I mean? But that's pretty awesome. All right. Well, I am going to have to close. So I'm going to debate doing this again tomorrow. If not, I will definitely see you Wednesday at noon for our scheduled live stream. And thanks for participating, everybody. And I will catch you later.